Welcome to What Pet Should I Get? My name is Julia Batchelor. We have a great program for you today. Chris Slick is here from Vaughan Animal Services, and later on in the program, Claire Forngin will be here from Dogtails Rescue and Sanctuary. And up first, we have the lovely Shelby Harmathy here from the Ontario SPCA. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well.
I feel like I haven't seen you forever.
No, it was last year.
Yeah, it was last year. And did you have a good holiday?
It was awesome, nice and quiet, can't complain.
And now that we're back, we're talking dogs, which is apt because you brought a dog for us to profile. But before we talk about Karma, we wanted to talk about dog houses and being with the weather that what it is. Some people, I think, would think, oh, you should always have your dog inside. But really, there are dog houses that are well suited for animals 365 days a year, right?
Absolutely. I mean, under the OSPCA Act, there is a section that pertains to the standards of care for primarily outdoor dogs. So most importantly, you do need a structurally sound dog house. So that would be one that's insulated, it's weatherproofed, and then the size and dimensions of that dog house are suited for the breed of dog you have at home.
You will have your moment.
You will have some attention soon. So it is really important to make sure that you do have a dog house if you have a primarily outdoor dog and one that meets the OSPCA Act. Hi. So inside your doghouse, you can also use bedding, such as straw or shavings is preferable.
Really? I didn't think that dogs would be, I thought it would be more like a material bed. You know
what, some people do, which is fine. But the only thing is, if the dog tracks any snow or water in there and it melts from their body heat, it'll freeze, whereas straw and shavings does not. So it really helps you out. So you just change it, once every 1 to 2 weeks, depending on how often it's getting dirty. Hi.
Can you
visit her? So having a dog house is great for these guys living outdoors, and a lot of people will tether their dog if they don't have fencing. And if you do that, you need to make sure that the tether is at least 3 meters long. So that would allow the dog to reach its food and water and be able to comfortably get inside their shelter.
And also, you probably want them to be able to go to the washroom away from where their food, water, and shelter is.
Away from where they're sleeping, because they don't want to do that any more than we would. So a lot of different things. If you are looking to build an outdoor dog house for your dog, for the what?
Are there kits? Like a building kit, or do you just have...
You can buy kits, but if you want one that follows the OSPCA Act, you can go to ontariospca.ca and go to our blog.
Okay.
And there is an ideal doghouse dimension, so you can measure your dog's height from sitting position, so that when they're sitting inside the doghouse, you want just a little bit of clearance, but not too much, because again, you want the dog to be able to heat the doghouse with their body heat.
Yep.
So if it's too big, they can't do that, but if it's too small, then they can't move around in it as well.
Is there a way then, when you do build a doghouse, I guess a direction that's preferable to point it? So north, south, west, or east?
Yeah, so it would depend on which direction your wind is coming from.
Yeah.
So you also want to position it maybe a spot with some shade or coverage as well for extra wind protection. You'd also like to keep the doghouse slightly elevated off the ground, just enough so that you don't have any flooding or snow creeping up there, but again, not too high that the dog is incapable of getting inside the doghouse. So
yeah, I guess one of the key things to remember as well when we're talking about dog houses is you don't want to leave. I mean, having your dog housed outside is fine for certain breeds, and we can get into that. But a dog's life shouldn't always be on a tether, lonely outdoors.
No, I mean, if you do have a dog that's primarily outdoors, you still need to provide all the enrichment and exercise for them, because it is to be tied up outdoors all day long. It is psychologically straining on them as well. So.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, we were just mentioning about breed specific, because not every dog is going to be suited for outdoor living. And I know we're talking about our smaller breeds, our little teacup chihuahuas. You wouldn't want to leave that type of dog outdoors. What type of dog is best suited for outdoor living and living in a doghouse?
Yeah, so primarily outdoor dogs. The best outdoor dog you can have is one with a good thick coat on them, like Karma has here. Because dogs, like people, are susceptible to getting frostbite. So short-haired dogs, really young dogs, puppies, and senior dogs aren't best suited for living primarily outdoors.
They feel the cold in their bones.
They feel it pretty good. Even
Yeah.
with the best outdoor enclosure you can have, sometimes even during the most severe weather, you do want to bring your animal inside.
Or if you're fortunate enough, like some people we know, their dogs happen to live outdoors in a heated doghouse.
That's the best way to go.
Yeah, that is luxury. And if you can't afford a heated doghouse, just keep in mind what type of breed that you have, and to ensure that outdoor living is good for them. And I think most people, I think that people who keep their dogs outdoors are more people who live in the countryside. You don't really see too many like high density residential areas with dogs that are living outdoors.
No, you really don't. It's mostly people who live out in the country.
Yeah.
You're correct about that, to keep an eye on the other farm animals and things like that, and notify you if someone's coming by.
Well, let's talk about Karma, because Karma is actually, she's a Husky Shepherd mix, so she's a dog that is suited for outdoors. I mean, Huskies are bred for the Arctic, and they spend a lot of time not even in a doghouse. But talk to us about Karma.
So Karma, she hasn't been with us too long. She was recently surrendered by her family. They had some family conflicts going on, so unfortunately they weren't able to care for her. And she is an energetic girl, so she does love to go for walks and things like that. So they just didn't have the time to provide that to her. So we're really looking to find her home. She is available for adoption. She's 2 years old. She's a German Shepherd Siberian Husky mix. In our Meet Your Match program, she is the orange goofball personality. So you can always learn a little bit more about the personalities on our website. Our adoption process is pretty straightforward with our cats and dogs. The public's welcome to come into our adoption center anytime that we're open. We're open Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, and we're also open on the weekends, 10 to 4. The public's welcome to come in, have a look around. If they see anybody they're really interested in meeting, we have them first complete our Meet Your Match survey to find out what personality color.
Make sure that you are an orange or a green or a purple.
Make sure you're a good match.
Yeah.
Hi, sweetheart. And then the adoption coordinator would take you in to meet with the dog. And if after speaking with the adoption coordinator you feel that it's a really good match, we can do same-day adoptions.
Well, that's excellent. Now, has Karma been assessed if she's good with other dogs, children, cats?
We did a dog-to-dog assessment with her, and she did very well. She met 2 different dogs, and she did well meeting both of them, so no concerns. She hasn't lived with cats before.
So we'll have to figure that one out.
So
and good with kids?
She actually has lived with children, but we always recommend if you've got kids at home, bring them with you.
Sorry, Shelby, I got to cut you off because we've run out of time, but if you're interested in adopting Karma, please visit our website for more details. See you on the other side of the break. Sorry. Hello and welcome back. Joining me now is Chris Slick from Vaughan Animal Services. Welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you.
This is your first time on the show, and I'm glad that you're here. And you are the first organization that is actually a not-for-profit. You are run by the city of Vaughan,
yes.
Which is unique. So talk to us about what it is that Vaughan Animal Services do in particular.
Okay, so we look after the bylaws for the municipality of Vaughan as well as for King, and we do sheltering service for Whitchurch Stouffville. So primarily what we're doing is educating the public on our bylaws and responsible pet ownership.
So let's talk about bylaws and responsible pet ownership. What are the key things that pet owners should know when it comes to bylaws?
They should focus or go online. Every municipality has their own website that has their bylaws on, so you should familiarize yourself with the bylaw in the municipality you live in, because they are all different.
What ones are particular to Vaughan?
They kind of all sort of run in the same with one another. It sort of depends. We're a larger city, so we have ones that prohibit cats, for instance, from straying off property into other people's property. But if you're in a more country setting, you don't get those bylaws. Cats are allowed to roam. So we look after that and the education of clients or of the people in the city. And
a key thing too, I believe, is that all pets need to be licensed.
Yes, they need to be licensed primarily for us to be able to have some sort of form of identification for the animal. It allows us to know that this animal here is licensed with the city. We know it. We have pictures, documentation of them in our files, so we can easily get them home if they do come into our facility.
Yeah, because if somebody finds an animal that they think is a stray, it's going to be the Vaughan Animal Services that is going to be picking them up, right?
Correct. Yes. So we do have animal control that go out for those types of calls. Dogs running at large, stray cats. Any animal, if they're hit by car, we facilitate with that. YRP, if they ever have a situation with a dog that's in a vehicle or there's a motor vehicle accident, we'll be there for the animal.
Now, I know with the Ontario SPCA, they actually have some powers when it comes to if an animal's in distress. You know, that they're the people that you would call. So like you were saying about if a dog is locked in a car. Do you have that same sort of power within the municipality as well?
We do with some. So we do have a bylaw for animals being left in hot vehicles or in extreme temperatures. So we can facilitate through that. So we do differ a little bit from an SPCA in that regard. They have care orders and concerns and stuff that we don't have, that we can't look after.
One of the questions I wanted to know too is there a limit to how many pets that you can have legally?
Yes, and that also depends on each municipality. Ours is 3 cats, 3 dogs.
Okay.
Anything more than that, you just can't have them.
Now, I know one of the key things is, you know, you're picking up stray animals, and the main thing, obviously, the objective is to get them back to their rightful owner, but that doesn't always happen.
No, it doesn't.
No, sometimes. So we have animals that are in care, and thankfully, Vaughan Animal Services also has a shelter.
Yes, we do. It's located at 70 TG Court. It's on the corner of Rutherford and Creditstone, and the public are welcome to come and see our adoption areas in the.
They can just do a drop-in?
Yep, anytime during our open hours.
Great. And what do you I guess it's predominantly dogs and cats. Do you have small animals, bunny rabbits?
Right now, we only do cat and dogs.
Okay. All right. And I understand too that you don't take surrenders. So if you're looking to surrender a pet for whatever reason, Vaughan Animal Services is not the place to go.
We don't take in surrenders, unfortunately. We get enough animals coming through just from being out in the environment. Mm-hmm. But we do help facilitate with people if they do contact us to rescue organizations.
And there's a lot around. So if you have to, unfortunately, give up your pet, then there is a good place to send them.
Yeah, and we're always there to help facilitate with that.
That's good to know. And I know that you have wonderful cats there because I got my latest pet from Vaughan Animal Services after meeting him when you were visiting daytime, and he's a wonderful cat.
He is a sweetheart.
Yeah. Now you brought 2 more. Today we have Mew Mew, this little girl right here, and you are holding on to Frida.
Yes.
So tell me first, let's talk about Mew Mew here. What's her story?
Mew Mew came into us a younger kitten. I'm not quite sure on age when she came in, but we're guessing that she's about 1.5 years old. And that's just from the size from when she came into us. So we do have to guesstimate how old animals are. Mm-hmm. And then they start going through our adoption process. So they come in, we assess them, make sure they're happy and healthy, and then they go through to be spayed and neutered.
When a cat comes into the shelter, because I haven't had the opportunity actually to see, because I already knew the pet that I was getting, so I didn't visit the rooms. Now, I know at certain organizations, they keep the cats in open spaces where they're mingling with each other. Does Vaughan do that too, so that the cats can be acclimatized to other cats, or are they sort of solo? For
the most part, they're solo until they get into our actual adoption room. Once they're in adoption, we know they're healthy. There's no any situations where they're going to be passing something on to one another. So once they're deemed by the veterinarian that they're happy and healthy, and when they're getting exercise in a sort of open room situation during the day.
Yeah,
they don't live separately, or they don't live all communally together all day. They do go back to a cage. We want to know and make sure they're eating and drinking properly and using the litter box.
That's good. So then you know that when somebody's coming and looking to adopt Mew Mew and may have other cats, you're like, well, the cat has been exposed to other cats, so there's always that adjustment period when you're bringing a new cat home with other cats. I could tell you personally. But we know that they're not going to be, you would know for sure, like I could say this is a one cat household, or she would be good to adapting to a house with other
and
cats.
we do know that. We have cats that we know do not get along with other cats. Mew Mew's actually one, she's very particular about the cats that she does like and doesn't like. So that situation would be difficult placing her into a home if you do have other cats, because she would either like them or not like them.
Okay, well, she is a young cat, so if you maybe want to have your first cat, think about Mew Mew. Let's talk about Frida before we run out of time.
Yeah, Frida was a younger kitten when she came into us. She was quite young. She's only about 10 to 11 months now. She's a little bit of a shyer personality. She's not as outgoing as Mew Mew is.
Maybe a household then with like maybe not little kids, maybe adults only.
Yeah, or teenage children where there's not a whole lot of commotion going on in the house.
Hey, and you know what? These guys have been hanging out together, so if you want to get two cats and you're not at your 3-cat limit, you can possibly think about getting Mew Mew and Frida together.
Absolutely.
I know, because what's better than adopting one cat? I say it's adopting two. So if you're interested in either learning more about Mew Mew or Frida, and go visit the shelter in person. As Chris said, it is open to the public. Information about Vaughan Animal Services is on our website. And I just want to thank you so much for being on the show, and I can't wait to have you back again.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So say bye, everybody. Bye, blah, blah. We'll see you on the other side of the break with Claire Forger from Dog Tales Rescue and Sanctuary. Hello and welcome back. Joining me now is the lovely Claire Forndren, visiting from Dog Tales Rescue and Sanctuary, and she has brought a beautiful matching pair of dogs named Dakota and Daisy, who are sisters.
They are.
But before we talk about Dakota and Daisy, I want to talk about Bennie. Now, Bennie was on the show last week, and Bennie has traveled very, very far to find his forever home. And look at that face. He is so adorable. Now, Bennie was from China.
He was, yep. He was one of the dogs that was rescued from the Yulin Dog Meat Festival back in June by HSI. And he went through a lot to end up at our rescue. And we have some really happy news.
Tell us about your happy news.
So Bennie was adopted just a few days ago to the most amazing home, and he's doing so well. They keep sending us photos and videos of him, and he looks so happy. He loves the snow. They have a big backyard, and it's a happy ending at last for Bennie.
I imagine from the journey from the, where he was, and luckily being one of the dogs lucky enough to be chosen to make it out of these dire circumstances, and of course the long journey to ensure that he's good to come to Canada. It's such a great story. And I imagine when the other dogs are ready for adoption, that they're going to probably go quick too. I imagine there's a lot of interest for those dogs.
Well, that's what's so incredible. I mean, people are really stepping up to help these dogs, and a lot of the families who are adopting them are families that have been following what's going on at this festival for years and years, and they've been looking for a way to help make a difference, and this is their way. So we have actually received almost 300 adoption applications for the dogs from Yulin. So once they're ready to go, I think will go
They're going to
pretty
go fast.
quickly. Yeah,
I imagine. And which is great, because I know that at Dog Tales, you're constantly rescuing dogs from local and from afar. Yeah. So once these dogs find their forever homes here, that just opens up the space for you to get more dogs.
Exactly. That's 63 more dogs that can be given a second chance.
Now, you also had another dog that was profiled on our show a while back, and his name was Tank. If you could remind everybody how lovely. Look at Tank. It's such a handsome dog. And can you remind us about Tank? What kind of dog was he? And what was his story?
So Tank, he's a senior American Bulldog, and he was surrendered to our shelter actually almost 2 years ago. And Rob, the owner of our shelter, Tank is his favorite dog. They're best friends.
Yeah, he looks like a rugged man's dog.
Yeah. And you know, Tank's just a favorite of everyone who works at our shelter. Our staff, our volunteers, we're all just completely in love with him. But you know, for almost 2 years now, Tank has had no interest from any potential adoptive families, and it's been heartbreaking. But we had a holiday miracle. So actually a family came in a couple of weeks ago specifically to meet Tank, and Tank fell in love with them, and we also fell in love with them. They're the perfect family. The only issue is that they didn't have a fenced backyard, and that's something that we felt a dog like Tank really needed.
Okay, we just got to let you know that Daisy is just dying for her moment in the sun. You have 2 more minutes, and then we'll get to you. So you said that, so Tank, you needed a house. You really wanted a house with a backyard with a fence.
Yeah, so what ended up happening is our landscape company, Rockscape Design, actually stepped up to the plate, and they offered to donate a fence to this family so that Tank could go home.
Amazing.
And finally have a family of his own. So
when did Tank go home?
So Tank hasn't gone home yet, but he should be going home within the next couple of weeks. So
that is totally exciting. And so the next time that you're on too, in a couple of weeks, I'd love to hear an update, see how he's adjusting to Forever Home. Like as I say, for anybody who's had the opportunity to visit Dogtails, it is a beautiful facility. But really, it's just a place that is a temporary shelter until, you know, everybody wants a home to call their own, right?
Absolutely.
And speaking of animals looking for a home to call their own, we have
literally crying out for you to adopt them.
I know. Daisy's like, please pay attention to me. So we have Daisy that you're hanging on to, and this lovely lady over here. You have to show. Oh, look, yes, look right into the camera. This is Dakota.
Yeah.
Tell us about these two.
So Daisy and Dakota were just recently surrendered to our shelter, and they have never lived in a home. So the family that surrendered them kept them in a garage during the winters and in their backyard during the summer. So these are 2 dogs that have never experienced how amazing being in a home with your family can be. And they had never been to a vet either, but miraculously they're both very healthy.
Daisy. Now, do you know how old they are?
They're 5 years old.
5, okay.
And we've put them in rooms in our shelter that have furniture just to see if they're destructive or how they'd react, and neither of them have chewed their beds, and they've been very good in their rooms. And they're just the sweetest dogs. I mean, they love to snuggle. They just constantly want to be with you and with each other, and they're truly the definition of...
I know. This environment sometimes, it is a little stressful for the dogs. And I mean, it's a new environment for her, right? But as long as that she has Dakota with her, because that's one of the things that I think is key for people to know, that these guys need to go home together. You don't want to separate them,
They're
right?
a package deal, yeah.
And look how, you know, how good you would look walking down the street with one of these dogs on each arm. You would look like, you'd look pretty badass, I think. Now you're saying, so these guys go through lengthy assessments for personality. Who do you think they'd be best suited for then?
So they definitely need a very active family. These are 2 dogs who are clearly full of beans, and they need a family that will really help burn that energy so that when they're in a home, they're not looking for other ways to let that energy out.
She's like, I'm done with this. I need to go.
And, you know, I think it would be really great if it's a home where they wouldn't be alone for too long on their own. So perhaps someone who works from home, or, you know, a stay-at-home parent, just so that they always have someone with them, because they really love people and love to be with you.
Well, they obviously both love to be with you. Well, we were talking earlier with Shelby from the Ontario SPCA. We were actually talking about dog houses, and one of the key things is there's nothing really wrong with keeping the right breed of dog outdoors, but the key thing is that they also have to have that interaction with people. So maybe if they're housed outdoors when you're at work, you want to bring them into the house. You want to make sure that they get to sit in front of the TV, in front of the fireplace, and be part of the family, right?
And you know what? We're in Canada. It can get so cold here in the winter. And another concern is, you know, even if you have a fenced backyard, anything can happen. Other animals can get into your backyard, and just for the safety of the dogs, I think it is nicer to have them inside.
Me too.
Yeah.
All right, well, if you are interested in meeting both Daisy and Dakota, you should go visit Dog Tales. As I say, the behavior here is no indication of what these dogs are really like. So please go out Sunday, 11 till 5 p.m., visit in person. If you're interested in more information on our website. Thank you so much, Claire, for being on the show.
Thank
and thank you, Daisy, and thank you, Dakota.
Daisy says goodbye.
We'll see you next time. Good girl. Good girl.